Hey, what's up, guys? Run a Bunch here, back again with another installment of the Run a Bunch Sports Show, the most underrated betting slash sports talk show out there on YouTube. So, this is going to be our Wednesday episode. I believe today is what, the 2nd? Yeah, March the 2nd. It's crazy we're already to March. It still feels like March of 2020, but let's get right into the show. So, starting off, the lock of the day that I started the very first episode is currently sitting at 0-2. And the first lock of the day and the second lock of the day have been very similar in terms of I've picked a team that I felt extremely confident about that had really good records against the spread and was playing an inferior team. One was on the road and one was at home, and both seemed to just fall flat. So I've kind of had to regroup a little bit in terms of the lock of the day. And looking back, I think in terms of a lock of the day, it's a little bit unreliable because, teams this season so far, I think just because of COVID-19 and a pandemic season, teams are not as reliable as they have been in the past. So records against the spread, especially this late in the season, it doesn't seem to matter as much. So, for example, I think this past weekend, South Carolina, a team that is awful against the spread and awful overall, got a huge 20-point home win against a Georgia team who has played overall a lot better and has a lot better record against the spread. Just for example, that game should never have really been close, or should never have been close the other way, and it turned a complete opposite direction. I think it's hard for good teams to stay consistently good, if that makes any sense. So I think it's easier for these bad teams, especially this late in the season with tournament time and March Madness, conference tournaments, March Madness, that kind of stuff coming around. I think teams are really getting tight in terms of, coaches are trying to keep jobs. Teams are trying to outperform themselves in a way that they can get better seeding in their conference tournament, maybe try to get hot late in the season to make a run in March, at March Madness. It just seems like bad teams are playing the better teams pretty good right now. So, lock of the day, not very successful, but, Grand Canyon, they were undefeated on the road, so I don't really feel bad going with that pick, but, we'll try better today. So, speaking of that, kind of just dove into it a little bit. The weekend was just absolutely full of surprises. There were so many upsets, and it was just an absolute analytical nightmare in terms of sports gambling. So a lot of people lost a lot of money this weekend. It was not just me or the viewers that have been, following my picks or whatever. Everyone lost money this weekend. I don't think I know anyone that truly made out this weekend. And it's because, like I said, teams are tightening up. Either the really good teams are blowing out people, or the bad teams or decent teams are keeping up with just the good teams. And it's causing a lot of chaos in terms of, the term March Madness. It really is March Madness. Everyone just seems to be playing out of whack. I think, take my stats today with my picks, kind of with some leeway, because at this point, if it was January, I would say that these numbers are solid and that my picks would be hot. But I think just because the way this year has been and how, teams are traveling and players are sitting out because of COVID, and I think everything just seems a lot closer. So, I would almost say try to go, towards closer spreads. So I would say maybe try to bet like single digit spreads in favor of like double-digit spreads. I would probably stay away from anything that is within the teens or higher. I wouldn't even touch that because you just never know. You just never know if these highly favored teams are going to blow people out or if that team's going to get upset. You just don't know right now. So just be wary of all that. So like I said, college teams are really gearing towards March with their conference tournaments and March Madness. So this week, look for the good teams to try to close out, and also teams on the bubble trying to get some signature wins. A lot of teams are going to be upset in the next week or two, and that is just because decent to good teams are trying to get these quality quadrant 1 or quadrant 2 wins over these better teams that have been better throughout the season, but are kind of shrugging these last few games off because they're trying to get ready for March Madness. They're trying to get ready to gear up for a national championship, and they're letting their guard down. So just be ready for that. Another topic, I wanted to revisit the blue blood conversation I had in the show last time, I believe. I think it was the last episode. It was either the last episode or the first one. I talked about be wary because it seemed like blue blood teams like your Kentuckys, your Dukes, your North Carolinas were on a comeback. Well, slash through that. This weekend, they played horrible. Those teams, I don't know whether it was just, coincidental that all of the blue blood, typical teams were just kind of having a hot streak or what, but they have cooled off. So once again, I would proceed with caution in terms of betting on teams like that. I kind of turned it around yesterday and Sunday and bet, like for example, I bet Syracuse last night against UNC and made a decent pocket out of it because once again, UNC fell short in the first half and look what happened. So, just proceed with caution in terms of the blue bloods. I would honestly, you'd probably be better off just staying away from those schools rather than, fading them or going with them. So just once again, I wanted to revisit that because I know I kind of gave some advice last week and things really turned around for the worse this weekend. So be careful of that. So like I said, conference tournament starting this week. I want to talk about a few teams that I like the value for in terms of betting odds for who's going to win the conference tournament. So I really like Cleveland State to win their conference tournament. I think it's the Horizon League. I'm kind of drawing a blank on the name here. I actually don't have it down, but I'm pretty sure it's the Horizon League. Cleveland State has some really good value. They've been fairly solid all season. They had a few ups and downs because of COVID, but when they are at their strength, they are definitely top 2 team in that conference, and they're like plus 400, I think. So definitely look for them. Michigan is a team that I think will coast through the Big Ten conference tournament, and they have odds right now like plus, I want to say like 170 on DraftKings. So that's another team that really I think you can get a lot of value out of. I mean, you would think that a team that is highly ranked as Michigan would be in the minus, but they're actually in plus. So, I mean, I definitely look for them. And another team I really like that I don't think a lot of people are high on right now is Dayton in the Atlantic 10. They're like the 5th or 6th seed in that tournament as of right now. They had a huge win over St. Bonaventure yesterday that they really impressed me. And I think they have really gotten hot at the right time for this conference tournament starting up later this week. I really like them, and I think their odds right now. Hold on, let me go look real quick. Yeah, I think their odds are at like plus 850, which is insane. You can make a lot of money if they win that conference tournament. I think $5 that'd make you about 40. So definitely look out for them. I'm not going to tell you to take that bet, but that's just definitely a team you should think about. So, moving on to the NBA, kind of done with college for right now. I want to talk about the NBA award races and how there is absolutely no value on any of them except for the most valuable player. I feel like at this point in the season, you kind of start getting an idea of who's going to win what, and in terms of the most improved, the rookie of the year, the sixth man of the year, it seems like, at least according to odds, that those awards are already wrapped up. It seems to me like, another one is defensive player of the year. It really seems like Rudy Gobert has ran away with that one. LaMelo Ball's the rookie of the year. In terms of sixth man of the year, I think Jordan Clarkson had a really good performance last night, and he's looking really, really good. I think the betting odds there really suck, to be honest. I don't think there's much value at all. The MVP is interesting, though, because LeBron right now is the favorite there, but I like the value on Joel Embiid. I think he is playing really well right now, and I think that in terms of LeBron, I think voters are just tired of voting for him. I think he's already won 4 in his career, and I don't know if he's putting up the stats that Joel is. And the Sixers, as long as they stay in first in the East, I think he's got a good shot at plus 350. So once again, that's a decent value. So look out for that. Another point I want to make real quick, in terms of the NBA, the Eastern Conference, it's horrible. It's actually horrible right now. I like the Heat and the Bucks as of right now, though. They're kind of getting hot, but in terms of the overall conference, I mean, you got your 76ers, you got your Nets, you got your Bucks, and then I think the Knicks are sitting at 4th, but 5th through 9th are within like a game or two of each other. And 5th in the East right now is sitting at 500. That's terrible. To show like contrast to the Western Conference, the Heat are 5th they're sitting at 500 right now. They would be 10th in the Western Conference at 500. That's how like the balance has really switched between those conferences. It's actually nuts. I don't know who's gonna come out in terms of who's getting the 8th or the 7th or whatever. I know the NBA kind of extended their postseason. There's a play-in tournament now, so I don't know if it necessarily matters, but there is a lot of teams that are stuck just right in the middle in the East, and overall that conference is just really weak. So just be careful when you're betting. I like the West in terms of going cross conference. Definitely, they're definitely a lot stronger, even though their records may not show it. They're playing a lot more talented teams, so just be careful of that. So moving on to my picks, I'm going to keep this show fairly short, I think, today. This might be the shortest episode we've had. I just kind of wanted to get a recap and get my picks in and get you guys on, because some of the games tonight are really early. I know West Virginia Baylor is at 5 o'clock, and there's a few really good games at 7, so I wanted to get these out as quickly as I could. So let's go and get into it. So my first pick of the night is Pitt minus 4.5 versus Wake Forest. And if you're smart, you would take this now, because for some reason a lot of people are on Wake Forest tonight, and I don't necessarily agree or disagree. I think originally it made kind of sense, because originally it started out at Pitt minus 8. So that means the money has moved the spread a lot in terms in favor of Wake Forest. So I like Pitt because it seems like I'm gonna fade the public a little bit here. I just think Wake Forest is 1-8 on the road, and only 3 of their 9 road games have been within single digits, 1 a win and 2 losses. So I don't know. Wake Forest has lost the last 5 of their games in a row. I think Pitt's a pretty decent team. I guess if Wake Forest was to break that streak, this might be the game. So take this one with a grain of salt, but I like Pitt tonight. I actually got Pitt at like minus 6 this morning. So that spread's moved a lot since last night. So definitely be careful of that game. But my second pick is Ole Miss minus 3 versus Kentucky. And I would take this pick as quickly as you can, because this spread is moving fast in favor of Ole Miss. I got this pick at Ole Miss minus 2 earlier this morning. And I think a lot of people are looking at Ole Miss as kind of a team to watch for, in terms of they're kind of getting hot at the right time. They're shooting better. They're playing better defense. They're winning on the road. They're at home today versus Kentucky, and Kentucky is 6-14 against the spread. And Kentucky's improved as well, but I just feel like, the whole fade the blue blood thing, I think there's something to it. I think these teams are going to start getting cold again. So definitely look for Ole Miss to, put an exclamation point on their season against Kentucky tonight. Now, this is going to be my lock of the day, this pick right here. I like Purdue money line or Purdue minus 2.5 versus Wisconsin. The lock of the day is going to be the minus 2.5, but if the money line value is still there, I'm not exactly sure what it's at right now. It's moved a lot. Like I said, these spreads have been moving so much because of the inconsistency this season. So I took Purdue money line this morning, but the 2.5 might be a lot better of a value. Purdue's 9-1 at home this season, and Wisconsin this season so far has been 3-6 against ranked opponents, and an away game, I don't really see that changing. So I definitely like Purdue here as my lock of the day. Moving on, this game was interesting. I had a poll up on Instagram about this game. Illinois at Michigan. A lot of you guys said that Michigan was going to win, but just kind of barely, and I actually agree with that. So I'm taking Illinois +8 at Michigan. That might be kind of a surprise to you guys, but I took that this morning. It's actually moved towards in favor of Illinois, so I would get on that while you can. It's at +6.5 right now on DraftKings. I checked about 20 minutes ago, and I would definitely get that now. I think a ton of analysts and a ton of professional people on TV have just been all over Michigan this week. They are the greatest thing ever. I think this is going to be a close game. I think a lot of people are doubting Illinois. I don't necessarily see Illinois getting a win here. I don't feel as comfortable, saying that because Michigan has been a wagon all year. I mean, what are they, 14-1, 15-1? But I definitely don't see this being a over 8-point game or like a double-digit win. So definitely look out for them. It's probably my least favorite pick of the night, but I have to go with my numbers. So my last actual official pick tonight, you guys probably aren't going to be surprised. I have West Virginia +4.5 versus Baylor tonight in Morgantown. I've seen a lot of crazy things happen in Morgantown, and I don't think I'm going to be surprised tonight. This spread's actually moved in favor of West Virginia. I think people see the value in West Virginia. They're hot right now. Baylor looked really bad this weekend, coming off of their 3-week COVID break they had a week prior. Just their second game back. Their coach even came out and said that they were having some COVID issues. I think their players, whoever had COVID, have just been tired, and they don't seem in sync to me. I think eventually they'll figure it out in time for the tournament, but I don't know if they necessarily have it figured out enough to go on the road in Morgantown and beat another top 10 team. So I really like West Virginia here. West Virginia's playing for a chance to make a 1-seed line. I've heard some rumors that if they win tonight and win out and potentially win the Big 12 tournament, they could be a 1-seed. I think a win tonight definitely cements them as a 2-seed, so I think they have a lot to play for tonight. So I like them to win. Other games I like, but I'm not confident enough to pick. I like TCU +12.5 at Texas. Or Texas Tech, sorry. I just don't like Texas Tech right now. I think they're playing kind of down, and like I said, double-digit games, I don't really like to take, so I'm not picking them, but it's definitely a team to look at. I like South Carolina at home tonight against Arkansas. South Carolina's a team that's been playing a little bit better, especially at home. Another game I really like that I actually did take, but I don't feel confident recommending to you guys. Detroit Mercy +1 at I think it's Northern Iowa, or North Kentucky. I'm sorry, North Kentucky. I just don't feel great about this pick, but Detroit Mercy's been on a hot streak, so you kind of have to roll with them a little bit. And one NBA pick, a team to look for tonight is the Wizards +1 against the Grizzlies. The Wizards at home in the last a couple weeks have been really good. I think they're 7-1 in their last 8 games now, so definitely keep a lookout for them. So yeah, guys, I'm just going to wrap up real quick here. I didn't want this episode to be too long because I want you guys to definitely get your picks in before the spread moves too much. So definitely go and look and, keep an eye out in terms, conference tournaments are starting up. Definitely, be careful of who you're betting out there. Definitely bet smart. Don't, put too much money on one team, that kind of thing. Because you just never know this time. March Madness is a term for a reason. So I'm excited for the tournament to start up. I'm excited for conference play to really, get tight and get tough. And I think March is going to be a really good month for sports. Baseball's starting back up. I know they're starting spring league. Hockey's really starting to pick up. My hockey picks that's actually the one sport this weekend that I went positive in, so that was kind of cool. Hockey's not really a sport I consider myself, a shark at. But yeah, guys, for the first week of this show, it's had a ton of support. I really appreciate you guys so much. I really didn't know how this was going to go. I know we're kind of starting to hit the 20-minute mark, and I'm going to wrap it up real quick, but I just want to thank you guys. I'm definitely going to be posting more consistently. I just didn't really feel. I think Tuesday, Friday is probably the best schedule for this show. There might be some like shorter videos in between, but I think in terms of keeping this show at a 15, 20-minute mark will be probably the best thing. So yeah, guys, I mean, comment below what you think your lock of the night is. Whether you like Michigan or Illinois, whether you like WVU or Baylor or a different game. Just let me know. So yeah, guys, I will talk to you next episode. And this has been Run a Bunch Sports Show, and cue the outro.